What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the GridironTalkZone podcast. I'm here with a special guest, a co-host. His name's Jude. We're going to debate some NFL quarterback rankings. I posted my highly anticipated, controversial quarterback rankings today. Did a video, posted the graphic on Instagram, and gonna have Jude come on and debate. He's gonna provide his rankings, and we're just gonna have a good time talking and debating our list. So, do you want to say anything before we get started?
Nah, man, I'm ready to roll.
All right. So I'll just show my list for a second before we get into
All
it.
right.
So the way I did my list, I looked at the starters. I put the rookie starters at the bottom of the top 32, and then every other starter above that, and then I added the top 8 backups. For Jude's list, we're just going to be going over the 32 starters, starting with the rookie tier, and then we'll get into his other tiers, which are pretty similar tiers to mine, but apparently I think we're going to have a lot different as far as the rankings go, though. So I'll take that off the screen and we can get started. So we're going to start off with the rookie tier. I'm assuming you only have 3 guys, not Clayton Tune, but who's in your rookie tier?
Yeah, so my rookies are Anthony Richardson, obviously, Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud. Um, it's obviously tough because they haven't played a snap, and in the off season everything's like sunshines and rainbows with the quarterbacks. They can do no wrong in the training camp, so you don't really know anything until they get out there. But my personal number one quarterback from the rookies is Anthony Richardson.
Hmm.
Um, Personally, I watched him in college, and he has so much potential. Like when I watched him in college, like my immediate thought was like he's built like Cam Newton. Like his body is like Cam Newton, but he has a better arm. He's definitely got a lot of room to grow with the throwing, but that's why he's on the Colts. The Colts aren't built to win now.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a few years before, they get right, but that's perfect. He needs that. He only played 12 games in college at Florida. But I think them getting Shane Steichen from the Eagles, the dude that developed Jalen Hurts a ton this past year, is really going to help him because they're similar play styles. So I think the Colts was a perfect situation for him to go to. And
Yeah.
then what you want to say about that.
Yeah, so Richardson, I had him 2 for the rookies behind Bryce Young. Obviously, Bryce Young, he's a tough one. People want to hate on him because of size, but he played in the SEC, played against very good competition.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really affect him too much. I think just his anticipation on his throws, his accuracy, his pocket presence, and then you factor in he's a good athlete too, who's elusive, can escape the pocket, make those on the run. Um, I think I like Bryce Young a little bit more than Richardson, but I agree with you. Richardson, very high ceiling, very good arm. Just needs to clean up the accuracy and some other stuff and become a more polished passer. But he only really was a full time starter 1 year in college. He was just a
Mm-hmm.
sophomore this past year, so he has so much room to grow, and I think the potential is there. And I think he's I don't think he's going to be good as a rookie. I don't think it's going to be an absolute disaster just because I believe he has the rushing already. So like he has a floor because of that rushing and then just athleticism. I think it's just developing as a thrower. And it's not like if you draft a quarterback like Richardson, knowing he needs to develop as a thrower, you're not going to have him sit back there and throw from the pocket 50 times a game like a Joe Burrow or something. You're going to build the offense around him like the Eagles did with Hurts. So I don't think he's going to be like really bad as a rookie or anything.
Yeah, I think the receivers that they have really help them out. They got some big, like, lengthy receivers.
Yeah.
What really sucks for them is I don't know what's going on with Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if you saw that.
What
His
happened?
agent. So the owner like went on Twitter and basically was talking crap about like paying running backs, and because Jonathan Taylor ain't got paid yet,
Hmm.
and the Jonathan Taylor's agent like fired back and was like, you're missing your best player. Like if you're not gonna pay him, he's not gonna come. Type like that literally just happened like 24 hours ago.
Hopefully that gets resolved because they need it.
Yeah, hopefully, because like this sucks to say because I'm a Houston guy, but the Colts man, they could be nice. Richardson
Yeah.
and Taylor, that's a lethal rushing attack. And obviously with Pittman and other dudes on the outside,
Gill.
Marley Cox. Yeah. Um,
So you have then after Richardson, you have Bryce Young too in your rookie tier.
yeah, I have Bryce Young too.
Interesting. So you're a Texans
Um,
fan and you're not biased.
no. But I'll say this, I like all three a lot. Like
Yeah.
Stroud like he's third, but like I wouldn't be shocked if he was first, like in 5 years. Like they all have like ridiculous potential. Um, I think it's tough because like Bryce was so good in college, but like also he had the best players on his team, Like even though he's playing
Ye-
SEC, like it's I like Bryce Young, and the only reason why I picked Richardson was I'm a big potential guy. Like
mhm.
the other people might have different preferences, but that's a big thing for me. Um, but I didn't like Bryce Young when I watched him in college, but he kind of started to grow on me when I started like really like look into him. He's just like there's no comparison for him in the NFL, honestly, because like he's like what Tua's height, something like
Yeah.
Tua, and probably smaller, honestly,
I
but
kind of
he's
compared him.
way faster.
Yeah, I
Like
kind of
he's
compared him to like a mix of Tua and Jalen Hurts. Like I
okay.
don't think he's
Well,
quite the athlete of Jalen Hurts, and I think he's a better athlete than Tua, and he has some of the like traits with Tua, like the accuracy, the decision making,
quick
stuff like that,
release.
pocket presence,
Yeah,
quick release. Yeah, but he has a little bit of athleticism to him, like a kind of like similar to Jalen Hurts, but not to the same extent. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely an interesting player.
yeah. He the only I don't know. It might start ugly though in Carolina. I'm not gonna lie because
Yeah,
I don't know who they got. I don't really think they got anyone over there for him.
yeah. My concern is it's gonna be like how at the beginning of Tua's career, it was like Tua doesn't have the strongest arm. I'm not gonna act like he does, but it was like the deep ball was really bad. It wasn't there at all. And now they added Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and
Yeah,
they're starting to get stuff going downfield. I'm worried about Bryce Young being like that early on because one, I don't think he's an elite deep ball thrower. He's good at it, but he isn't like a Richardson could be or like a Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. Um, and they don't have really those downfield weapons. The best receiver is a slot guy in Adam Thielen. So I'm concerned about maybe teams not being too concerned about him stretching the field.
yeah. I don't
But
know. I mean, I really like Frank Reich.
yeah, same.
I think they had a good offseason. They did what they could. I mean,
They just couldn't
man,
get that
that
number one
last
receiver.
season was that. I don't know how they managed. Well, they won 7 games. I don't know how they
Yeah,
managed to win seven. I didn't like their team at all from the jump. I didn't like their coach from the jump, who's obviously not even in the NFL anymore. Um, but I really like their offseason, but I feel like they just need another year or two to really build. But that's perfect because you got Bryce on a rookie deal and you don't have to pay him for a few years. So um, I really like where all the three quarterbacks went. I feel like they all went to good situations for them. Um, like Stroud is obviously third. But like being 100% honest, he might be the most ready.
okay. Yeah, that's a common take. I see it. I still would think Bryce Young is. The reason why is you mentioned Bryce Young. He had talent at Alabama, but they didn't have a first round O lineman or receiver this year like they usually do. You look at Stroud, he's throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr., who might be the number one pick in the draft next year. And something I saw on Stroud's tape was he would really not just like Bryce Young would take it and sling it into a tight window with great anticipation. Stroud, it was kind of a little bit slower uphill, waiting for the guy to get wide open and then firing it. So the anticipatory throws, I think, could be a little bit of adjustment for Stroud, but I still think he is pretty pro ready. But I just prefer Young
Yeah.
in that aspect.
Okay. That's fair enough. I mean, maybe it's a little Texan bias getting in there. Shoot, I'm sick and tired of losing.
But you still have
Um,
Young ranked over Stroud, though, so I like that.
yeah.
That's close.
But like I said, like these can be interchangeable. Like I would be shocked if Young was one or Stroud was one. But I just really like Anthony Richardson's potential. Thing about Stroud, I don't really like. I watch a lot of college football.
Hmm.
Um, I like Ryan Day a lot, but I didn't like. I don't know. It's like so. I watched a few games during the season, but then the one game I really paid attention to was when they played Georgia
Yeah.
in the playoff game, and he like that was the best game I've ever seen him play.
Hmm.
He was letting it rip. Like I don't know, Ryan Day just hand him the playbook. I don't know something. Um, that was a different CJ Stroud. He was making plays like I never seen him like try to run, but he was
He had that
running like
big
he had
run.
nothing to lose. Yep,
Yeah, that
like
big
he had
run that
nothing to
put him
lose.
in the
I've
field
never
goal
seen him
range.
do that before. So I don't know. I don't know if CJ was like, just screw it, just like it's my last game. Like I don't know. But that game really impressed me. But it was tough with Young and Richardson.
So
But the yeah.
yeah, so we're pretty similar on these guys. It just seems like I'm a little bit higher on Young than you because I have Stroud 3, Richardson 2, Young 1. I'm super high on Richardson. I had a top 5 grade on Young and Richardson. I had Stroud like a top 10 to 15 grade in the draft. So yeah,
Hmm.
it just seems like I'm a little bit higher on Young than you just because
Yeah,
I just see so much like in his game.
yeah,
Um,
that's fair. Um, the thing about I just feel like he might need well, I mean to be fair, like how the game's changing so much, like
yeah,
so fast. So I could be wrong. But I feel like he might need his ceiling, like if he has like pieces around him could be ridiculous. But I feel like he might need that a little more. Like
and a
mainly
Richardson.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see
Um
that.
like I feel like injuries are going to be tough for him because he got hurt in college, I think a couple times, and that's affecting Tua, who's like similar build.
Hmm.
But he was a dog in college. I mean, it's not nothing to get around that.
All right, so we can move on to the next tier. What was your next tier titled again?
My next tier is young quarterbacks with a lot to prove. So I'm gonna go from I guess you can consider it the bottom to the top of the group.
Okay.
There's shoot, I think there's eight quarterbacks in here. Um, I have Desmond Ritter. Also,
Uh,
I'll go through it and then afterwards we'll
oh,
talk.
bottom is Desmond or top?
Yeah, bottom is Desmond.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's kind of tough. Yeah, we haven't seen anything. I mean, he's played a few games. I wasn't impressed at all.
Mhm.
Um, I I kind of liked. I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of liked Mariota. I liked him a lot coming out, but I kind of liked him in that system because they like to run. I think
Yeah.
Arthur Smith he wants his quarterback to run a little bit, and I don't know if Ritter's an athlete
Hmm.
like that they thought he was going to be. Um, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of him coming out. I'm pretty low on him. Okay, so then I have Sam Howell,
Okay.
which I can see an argument for him being a lot higher, but he played one game. He looked decent in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked confident. The only thing about him is that team might fall apart by Thanksgiving. Like if he's not if he's not showing anything by Thanksgiving, they're gonna move off because Rivera's on the hot seat.
Hmm.
He's gonna this. This is it for him. So he doesn't have that's the thing that sucks for him. He doesn't have a lot of time to just mess around and develop. He needs to he needs to get
Yeah,
it quick.
that's tough because Washington, it feels like they've been in this thing the last like
Hmm.
3 or 4 years where they just can't get over the like 8 and 9, 9 and 8 hump. They're just
For
like
sure.
the definition of mid in the NFL.
Hmm.
And it feels like if they still have a pretty good team to where if Howell's like mid or solid, they can maybe win 8, 9 games, but he has to be pretty good for them to win like double digit games in this
I
tough
know.
division. So like if he
And
doesn't do that, then Rivera is gonna be impatient with him and
and the
probably throw Brissett in.
and the division's super tough too.
Yeah,
They legit could win 8 games and be last.
yeah.
So
That's what they did
I
last year. They went 8, 8 and 1
yeah,
in the
yeah,
last.
exactly. So um it's gonna be tough. I like they got Eric Bieniemy. That was a really
Yeah.
good pickup, but I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of tough with these bottom guys because I haven't really seen a lot. Um, then Jordan Love, I'm also throwing him in this. I didn't like him coming out necessarily. I mean, shoot, it feels like it's been forever ago. Um, but I didn't really like his tape. But I mean, dude, you're sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. I mean, that can only benefit you. I feel like I don't. Rodgers kind of took all their receivers. That's kind of the tough part. Um, I don't really know what he is because he played that one game against Kansas City and he didn't show me anything. Um, he didn't look good on film.
Yeah.
That's kind of I don't remember where you had him at.
Yeah, so interesting
Um,
enough, I had these guys in a tier just above like the fringe starters who I think are going to be replaced by next year, like the Garoppolo Mayfield guys. So I had these guys in a tier above. I had Jordan Love 24, Sam Howell 25, Desmond Riddle 26. So we agree on the ranking of those three. I just put them in a different tier than you.
Yeah.
But it's basically the same tier. It's just I put that tier above the fringe starter tier. It can go either way. But yeah, Love, whenever they threw him in that Kansas City game to start, he was not good at all. But the thing is, I just think he's a little bit more talented than Howell and Riddle. And he actually looked good whenever he was thrown into the Philadelphia game when they were losing
Mhm.
on Sunday Night Football last year.
Mhm.
He was throwing darts. So I like
Mhm.
his talent more than Howell and Riddle. And I just like Howell a little bit more than Riddle. That's how I was coming out of the draft. I had Howell over Riddle.
Me
But
too.
Riddle actually, the thing I was looking at it, I know it's PFF grade, but every game, the 4 games, he improved to PFF grade. And I watched his Week 18 game versus the Bucks, last game of the year. I think the backups for the Bucks did come in the second half or
Mhm.
so,
I think they were.
but even then, he showed me a little bit more than I thought whenever I watched him. So I feel a little bit better about him than I did going into watching him, but I still think he has a lot to prove. But we'll see. I like what you said about the athlete side. Like you think Arthur Smith would want a good athlete. He's a solid athlete, but he didn't really show much on the ground whenever he played last year as a runner.
No. Um, I didn't really like that. I mean, I'm so against taking a running back super high.
Oh yeah, they took
I like
Bijan at 8.
Bijan. Like, I feel like he could be dope, but like, that's not my preference. I mean, I think they running back. Well, that's a conversation for another day about running backs.
Yeah,
But
that's a conversation for another day. But I want to say one thing. You look at it
mhm.
like you drafted Bijan Robinson eight overall. Dalvin Cook's on the market right now. Say you use that for a different player, you sign Dalvin Cook. There you go.
Well, that's where we disagree. Dalvin Cook, he's not it. I'm not.
You're not a
He was
Dalvin
he
Cook
was
fan?
he was terrible last year. If you look at the numbers, like
Okay.
I mean, think about it, bro. The Vikings just took Alexander Madison and some like I think it was like some undrafted like guy over him. Like they let him go for those two.
We disagree there, but that's for another day. Back
Yeah,
onto the
yeah,
quarterbacks. Who's above Jordan Love for you? What's the
yeah.
other young guys in this tier? Like the
Okay.
Barbalich maybe?
Next one is Kenny Pickett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't like him coming out.
Okay, so we were the
Um,
opposite. I had a top 10 grade on him in the draft.
yeah, I didn't
Like
like him coming out.
if we're looking at these two guys as prospects still, I like Pickett more than Stroud. That's just me.
Okay.
That's probably a big disagreement, but I don't know. I just
That's
like Pickett.
pretty. That's a pretty big. I didn't think Pickett was going first round. I
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, because there was a lot
I
of talk about him slipping.
yeah. Um, I mean, I just the Steelers like that's a good situation, but they have a absolute god awful offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, who should have been fired months. He shouldn't even got the job. So it kind of sucks for Pickett because I already didn't like him coming out, and I didn't like what I saw all last year at all.
Interesting.
Three like I like people are hyping him up because they're saying that like oh like he had a bunch of game winning drives.
Yeah,
You
that's what I
know,
was
yeah, yeah,
mentioning.
yeah. Okay, but
Every primetime game he played, he was clutch.
who are these games against? You gonna
Okay,
read me the teams?
the Ravens was a good game.
Who is their quarterback?
It was Tyler Huntley that
Yeah,
game.
okay.
The
So
Colts,
they shouldn't even be that game with the Ravens. The Colts, okay, come
no
on.
matter who's playing, it could be Big Ben versus Joe Flacco, and the Ravens Steelers would still be 13-10 with a game-winning drive at the end. That's just how they play their games.
Okay, that's one. Okay, I'll give you that. What's the other
He
teams?
had the
Colts.
Colts,
That's terrible.
and I forget
Terrible.
who else.
I think it
He
was it maybe
may have had one versus no, not
the
the Falcons.
Falcons
I don't know.
or the Panthers. Was it the Panthers?
I don't remember. I just
Okay.
remember those two big primetime ones. But looking at Pickett, like I'll say what he disappointed me was in college, he was a super accurate quarterback. That just wasn't there as a rookie. He did
Mhm.
struggle with his accuracy.
Mhm.
And he has a little bit to his game where he panics in the pocket and will step into sacks. But other than that, I mean, very clutch. He's an athlete too. He can throw on the run, make plays on the run. He can run the football. He goes through his reads well. I think he's pretty smart for a young quarterback. I love a lot of his
Mhm.
game, and I think he's going to show more of that accuracy that he showed in college and take a big jump and be a top 12, 15 quarterback this year. which may sound like a hot take, but right now I have him near the top of my average tier at number 18.
Man, that's I don't know. I mean,
I
this
think
is
he
what I
proved
see.
enough last year.
This is what I see from Kenny Pickett this year. 18 touchdowns, 13 picks. Steelers are 7-10, and they're and if I mean, let's be honest, the Steelers, if they have a losing record, you can't tell me they're not going to try to look for another quarterback. Because next draft is loaded with quarterbacks. There's like 7 first-round grades. I mean, the early projections are tough.
That
They
is a
usually
hot
aren't
take.
good.
I'm going to make a take right now. July 27th, 2023.
Okay.
Kenny Pickett is 100% the Steelers starter 2024. No question.
Okay. No, I mean, that's fair. But, like, I'm saying, because their division, he's easily the fourth quarterback, at least talented, easily the fourth talented quarterback.
I can see that. I can see that with Watson, but I just think Watson was absolutely like putrid last year, so I think I have to rank Pickett up for him. But the talent, if Watson gets to his old self, yeah, I get what you're saying. But
no, I mean, I don't know. That's the only thing that's tough because the offensive coordinator is so bad.
I'm not going to predict this, but it wouldn't shock me if Pickett ended the season ranked higher than Lamar.
Wow, I might have to write that one down.
I'm not predicting that, but I think
we're talking about. Oh man,
I think Lamar is going to take a step up this year. I'm not predicting that, but if Lamar does what he's been doing the last few years and Pickett takes a step up, Pickett could surpass Lamar as the second best quarterback in this division. I don't think that's going to happen because I think Lamar will get closer to that 2019 form this year with the new weapons and system, but Pickett definitely has potential.
Sorry, I tuned you out after you said second best quarterback in the division.
I think he's like a Ryan Tannehill type, but a better version of Ryan Tannehill. Daniel Jones-ish, kind of. Which Daniel Jones was.
So Daniel Jones is better than Lamar?
No. That's why I said he's a better version of those guys and he can take a step, and Lamar stays the same.
He's going to have to show me something. I mean, I know the
anyway, let's take that all back. That was just nonsense. I know Lamar's better than Pickett. But I'm just saying, if Pickett takes a big jump up.
Yeah, I mean.
But no, we don't want that. We don't want that on tape, so cut the records. Anyway, who's after Pickett?
Okay. Well, we might have to come back to that one. After Pickett is I basically did the Niners whole situation because Purdy is
Niners starting quarterback.
It's Purdy, Lance, and Darnold. And if you listen to anything from their from their offseason, they've been hyping up Darnold all camp.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. They drafted Lance 3rd overall. They traded 3 first-round picks for Lance. And they're just hyping up Darnold. And I've heard crickets about Lance, who I was a big fan of coming out. I was a big fan of Lance.
I had him QB3 in the draft. So I was pretty I was pretty high on him too.
Yeah. In this situation, for the 49ers, I don't think they should be looking at it as I feel like they should be looking at it from a potential standpoint. Purdy, he might he'll be solid the whole year. Probably get you to the NFC Championship because NFC is so weak and they have such a loaded roster. But he's not going to be able to take you to the top, just like Jimmy G never could.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I see Purdy as an prime Andy Dalton-ish type player. And if they get that player, a fringe top 10 guy, maybe 15-ish range out of Purdy, they can win the Super Bowl.
Well,
I think I get the upside part, and Lance versus Jimmy G, yes, I was on the Lance side, but I think Purdy is a step ahead of Jimmy G, and I think he's good enough to where they can win a Super Bowl with him, but I totally understand the floor ceiling aspect with Lance. I just think it's more likely he hits the floor in the bust than the ceiling. But
yeah, but that's the thing. The Niners are so good that they can probably suffer. Let's say Lance, they start him just for the season to play 4 games with him, and he goes 1-3. They can easily go to Purdy, and they can still end up with 11 wins, or 12 wins. They're just that good. I don't think they're not even because listen, last year Lance played 1 game in a monsoon, which I know you're a Bears fan, so you know that game. Like you should not judge him. Like
Yeah,
nobody
you
should be
can't
judging
take
him off that
anything from
game.
that game.
And the second game, he was playing a dang good game, and then he out for the season. So I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of Purdy. I watched him a ton in college. I watched a ton of Big 12 football.
Yeah.
But I was not a fan of him in college. I just think in Shanahan's offense, like he makes so many guys look good. Like if Jimmy G does end up playing, I legit like think either way, honestly, this is another take. Vegas is going to be the worst team in the league, and that like maybe Arizona they'll be battling like to the wire.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they're like because if you listen to anything, Jimmy G he's not even going to pass his physical. Like I don't even know if he's going to play. So and that really sucks when you have arguably the best year of football, and then Josh Jacobs, arguably the best running back in football. He's not even signed up. Like they're trying to give him an extension, and they're not giving it to him.
Okay.
And he's arguably the best running back in
We'll
football.
we'll save the AFC or the Raiders hate
Yeah.
talk for if you come on the AFC West preview.
Yeah. All right, my bad.
But anyway, no, understandable with Jimmy G. I have him ranked low, but
yeah, I've never been a fan of Jimmy G. I always thought he was bad, even when they were in Super Bowl and going
I
far.
agree with your Lance take, but if you're just going into looking at it from your perspective, but if you're looking at it from your in the 49ers building perspective and you watch training camp, watch these guys practice every day, if you just don't see it with Lance, you roll with Purdy. If you see it with Lance and you think his talent could show, then you roll with Lance. It's just kind of what they see. So, yeah,
and
I
honestly,
get your point, though.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Niners, they're so smart. Like, whatever they do usually works. Like, they're always at the top every year. The team's loaded. Like, Shanahan's like a genius. But okay, I mean, So basically, my whole point from there is, if it was up to me, I would try Lance to start, unless he's just dog crap in training camp. As long as he's like looks solid, I would start Lance, and then if it's not going well, then go to Purdy. Because Purdy is like kind of. I mean, I know he had surgery. I mean, is he fully healthy?
Those reports that came out, I think he should be ready to go in training camp, is what I saw. But I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. So we'll move on. We'll move on from that. Whole situation over there.
On to who's your next guy? You have a few guys left in this tier.
I do. My next guy is Mac Jones.
Wow. Wait, what number are we at? What number are we at?
This is my tier. This is
okay, but like if you're looking at it from a numbers perspective, do you know what like number it would be?
Like 23.
Okay.
1 0 9 8 7 6 5 4. 24. He's 24.
Okay. Wow. I'm at 14. So we're the opposite on Mac.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing on Mac.
What I've noticed from your takes on Purdy and Mac, you're a big talent guy, which I agree with. But if you can play quarterback and sling it from the pocket, you're a good quarterback.
So, well, here's my thing with Mac. Like, I kind of had a little like this. The thing is my tier. Like, listen to the tier. It's young quarterbacks with a ton to prove. So it's kind of tough to put him in like a tier above because technically, like, he's played 2 seasons. First one, it's a great season. Like, the rookie season was great. Best rookie quarterback. When, to be fair, it was a low bar because other rookies sucked. But the second season, that was awful. And to be fair, the guy calling the plays for him was, again, awful. So my what I wrote about Mac was like he should be a lot better this year. Because I really liked Bill O'Brien. I'm the Houston guy. I liked him as a play caller. I hated obviously the GM.
Not as a GM, yeah.
But as a coach, like I thought he was.
He was a solid coach.
Yeah, I liked him as a coach, and we had a lot of good offenses. Obviously, we had number 4 back there, but I think
with bad quarterbacks, you guys were making the wild card game.
Yeah, exactly. Like freaking TJ Yates and oh god, don't even get me started. Yeah, I mean, think about that's what I said about Mac. Like last season was just so bad. Like he got benched for Zappy. Like, come on.
Okay, that was like it wasn't benched. It was he was hurt, and then they just started Zappy one game, but then Mac came in,
and then Mac came in, and guess what they were chanting on the crowd? Zappy, Zappy. You don't remember that?
Because I remember they were playing my Bears on Monday night.
Bears.
That was like our biggest win in like 5 years.
I know y'all absolutely dominated that game.
That was the last win all year.
that that game stuck out like a sore thumb for Mac for me. I just didn't. I don't know. I mean, he could definitely be in the next tier by next season, and he could be
Okay.
pretty high in it. So
I
I'm not super low on him, but I just kind of had to put him in the tier because he still has a ton to prove.
I guess I agree with like the Teal factor. It's just I'm just looking at the quarterback. I
hmm
see one of the best pocket passes in football. Bailey accurate. Um,
Super smart. He's super smart.
yeah, and I saw this from his game. Watching some of last year, he threw the ball downfield actually pretty well. He was 11th in deep yards, and that was with a bad system with Patricia
hmm
and really no weapons. Like watching it now, I realize why Patriots fans were so upset they didn't sign D Hop because he needs that jump ball downfield receiver, and that would help this offense really a lot. I'm just worried they don't have a number one receiver, so that's going to kind of hold him back a little
Yeah.
bit.
That.
But ranking him, I'm looking at it as I'm ranking the quarterbacks, any system, any scheme, talent. Who would I take? 1 through 28, I have him at 14. So a lot higher than you and probably the consensus. But I just really liked what I saw out of him, and I think his rookie year Pro Bowl, it showed that.
Yeah. That's a phony Pro Bowl. Don't run away with that one. It's not like
He was, st-
there was guys ahead of him
I mean, he led the
who didn't
playoffs,
want to
the
go.
Patriots to the playoffs in a tough AFC. They cut
What
Cam Newton
happened?
in
What
training
happened
camp
in
because
that?
they
You
knew he was.
remember what happened in that game?
Yeah, the defense let Josh Allen score a touchdown every time they touched the ball.
Well, I mean, when
It
it's
was in
21.
like 10-degree weather. Come on.
All right. Well, he's gonna be playing there a lot if he stays in New England. So he better figure out how to play in cold weather.
On to the next guy though.
Yeah,
Who's
this is the
next?
last guy in the tier.
I already
Um,
know who it is.
yeah, it's the guy behind you. Um, Fields, like, he has so much potential. Um, it's just like his throwing, like his decision making is like he just has so much. Like his potential is probably like top 7 quarterback in the league, right? And I think DJ Moore that'll really help having DJ Moore because he hasn't had a number one guy like that. Um, but barely threw over 2,000 yards. Like that's putrid. That's hold on. I think are you muted or is it me?
Muted. I was
Oh, you're
muted. Sorry.
good. You're good. You're good.
Basically, I said you can say the same thing with Lamar Jackson. He's throwing for 2,000 to 3,000 yards.
Yeah, but
But you can also say he's
he
won
was
an MVP, so I get that. But
no, but
anyway,
he's also injured last season.
okay. But with Fields, I agree. The processing speed is really slow, and that's the thing I see in this game. But remember, there was a stretch mid-season where the Bears were putting up like 30, 35 points a game for like 5-game stretch for like a month. Like, I'm sorry, but Ryan Tannehill isn't doing that. I get the tier thing, but at some point, Fields' talent is enough for me to say he's a top 20 quarterback. I have him at 15, cannon of an arm, one of the best rushing quarterbacks of all time. He can sling the ball downfield. Now they got him DJ Moore. It'll probably show. His problem is the processing speed. That's a big problem. He holds onto the ball way too long, and he takes a lot of sacks because of that. And the accuracy is still inconsistent, but I think it did improve. I saw improvements, slight improvements as a pocket passer from his rookie year to last year, which was good to see because my complaints with him coming out of college, the processing speed, the holding onto the ball, the bad shaky accuracy, that's all what's shown in his first 2 years. But I think he's improved enough to where I can say with the talent, I'd rather have him than Kenny Pickett, Jared Goff, Ryan Tannehill, Russell Wilson at this point, Dak even. So that's why I have him at 15. But I can see with the teal, it's just I think at some point,
Yeah, it's just kind of because
break
I
the
didn't
teal.
feel like he could easily be in the next one. I just didn't see enough. I didn't see enough. I need to see more.
Okay.
As a thrower. Obviously, I mean, you know everything about Fields. You know a lot more about Fields than I do. So there's not really any sense in me. You already know why I don't have him high.
Yeah.
We might as well just move on to the next.
All right. Okay. So what was the next teal again?
This is quarterbacks that you can win with. So basically, it's like the solid starters. Like they're not going to win you games, but they're probably like they might lose you a game or two, but they're not going to just like you're not going to win games because of their talent or because of their play style.
And so this
is where it gets tough.
We're at like 21-ish, right? Like 20, 21-ish right now.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
This is where it gets super tough.
Yeah,
Um,
guys here.
so I guess you could call it the bottom guy in the tier is it's Derek Carr. Um, like last season, he was he was not good. Best arguably best year of football, arguably best running back in football. What do they go 6-9?
With Carr,
He's
yeah, 6-9.
Yeah, with Carr. And you could say, Josh McDaniels, but he's had Gruden, and yeah, he's put up numbers, but he hasn't won anything. And you could say, oh, like, I mean, so when you say, oh, the defense, so you
Yeah,
want him to have weapons and a defense? You can't give a guy everything. You can't at
I
some
mean,
point he's got to
teams
make it up a
can.
little bit.
Dak, and the Cowboys have had that. There's a handful of other teams too.
Not
Like
every year.
most years, they've had a defense and receivers. But you look at the Carr, you can say win with, but not because. They won because of Derek Carr in 2021. That team had no business going 10-7 and almost beating the Bengals in the playoffs.
That was his best year for sure. I'll give you that.
Like Derek Carr, I know I sound stupid going back 2016, but he has an MVP vote. Like Derek Carr I think he's a step ahead of what most people see, mainly because personally I just watched him last year and I still thought, okay, he made some good throws. He's one of the best pocket quarterbacks in football. He gets the ball under pressure actually really well. Um, his accuracy is what kind of slipped a little bit last year, but it wasn't
It
as
slipped.
bad. It wasn't as bad as the numbers said, in my opinion, which may sound weird. That's just personally what I saw. So could be wrong, but yeah, I'm still a big Carr guy. I have him at 9, which is higher than most people because, like, going into last year, Derek Carr, top 10 quarterback, okay, not controversial.
To
Josh
me,
McDaniels
to
comes
me, it
over.
was.
Oh, it was still controversial. Okay,
Hmm.
McDaniels comes over. He throws the ball like 100 times less than he did before. So obviously, you're winning when Derek Carr is throwing for 5,000 yards and throwing the ball like I forget like what 600 times or something crazy high, and then you take the ball out of his hands less, hands more to Jacobs. You realize you can't win with this style of running and play defense because your defense sucks. So I think a lot of it has to go on Josh McDaniels. I think personally, that's just my opinion. And first off, he's never had a top 10. Well, he's never had a defense not in the bottom 10, I believe. Bad O-line play, really. So just yeah, not a good situation. I think he's in a little bit more secure situation in New Orleans. I still don't think it's the perfect situation, but it's good
I don't
enough
know
to
about that.
where it's good enough to where you should be able to at least compete with like the Falcons to maybe win this division. Like if Derek Carr wins the division this year, puts up like 28 touchdowns and 10 or less interceptions, I feel good about my ranking at the end of the year. And they don't get blown out to the 5 seed or the 6 seed or whoever they play in the playoffs. If they look solid, he puts up numbers, makes the playoffs. I feel like this ranking was well deserved. But if he flops again, then I'll probably have to just reevaluate what I'm seeing watching Derek Carr, and I'll probably be lower next year.
Um, yeah, I mean that just I don't expect the Saints to do that. Like
Do
you,
what?
you
Make the
talk
playoffs?
about yeah, no. You talk about Josh
Wow.
McDaniels. You talk about Josh McDaniels being bad. You know the guy that is over there right now?
Dennis Allen.
Why is he still a coach? He's terrible. Like I don't like the situation that Carr was in before is better than the Saints situation. At least offensively. Defensively, no doubt their Saints defense is better. But offensively, like the whole Kamara thing, like he might not even play in like some of the season. He might get suspended. And then Michael Thomas, like I mean, are we sure? I mean, is he?
Okay.
He's always something a
You
question
give
mark.
you're giving me a good argument here with the Dennis Allen, the situation. Hopefully Olave has a good connection with Carr,
Oh
but
yeah, Olave's really good.
the
I'm really like
situation
Olave.
could be a little shaky because the O line is declining. If you're not a Dennis Allen guy, but Carr has some familiarity with Dennis Allen. He started Carr was good from the jump early in his career, and Dennis Allen was his coach. So
Hmm.
I think that familiarity will be there. It'll just automatically be a better fit than it was with McDaniels, and I think he's going to have a special connection with Olave. And you have some guys in the backfield if Kamara doesn't get suspended. You have Jamal Williams. So I don't think it's going to be necessarily. I just can't see it being worse than the Raiders last year. If it ends up being worse than the Raiders were, then we have a problem. But like when we look at it with Carr, that terrible situation in 21, Dalen Waller was injured. Ruggs goes to prison. It's him and Renfro carry that team to the playoffs with a bad O-line with Jacobs being solid, but not a top 5 or 10 running back really at that point until last year. So if he can take that team to the playoffs, I think I'm willing to say a lot of it was scheme last year with McDaniels. But that's personally what I saw whenever I watched him. My opinion could be proven right or wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if he makes the playoffs, he's definitely not going to be 9 unless he just has an MVP type year. But
well, if he had an MVP type year, he's top 5.
I mean, you can't have. Okay, well, that's whatever. No. For you, not for me. He'll definitely move up because I don't expect them to really make any noise, to be honest. I think the Saints have kind of like ever since Breeze was old, they've kind of just been like in the Commanders situation, just like the middling, like they just need to have like. I wasn't a fan of them getting Derek Carr. I mean, I just felt that was kind of like that was mostly on the Saints. It wasn't really necessarily I was mad they got Derek Carr specifically. I was just like I didn't think the Saints should have gone that route. I think they're getting really old. I just feel like they need 1-2 years just of just being bad, and them getting like a top guy because I don't think. I mean, if they just want to make the wild card and maybe win a game, yeah, cool, go get Derek Carr. But that's not what you should be playing for in the
Okay,
NFL.
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think they view it from, Rodgers and Brady out of the conference now. It isn't the strongest NFC. You have quarterback questions in San Francisco.
Sure.
If we can get Derek Carr and we think he can be like a Kirk Cousins and be a fringe top 10 quarterback, put together a good stretch of play, yes, you'd have to have things go your way, but if you play good defense and you believe in the offensive talent that you've drafted and you have, and you believe in your coach, you can maybe say that you can have a 49ers-esque situation where you make the Super Bowl. They had Jimmy Garoppolo. Carr is way better than Garoppolo, but make it with not an elite quarterback if they think Carr is a very good quarterback. So maybe that's not the smartest move because it's probably unrealistic, but I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to capitalize off Cameron Jordan, Demario Davis.
I think
Matthew.
I think they're just trying to like. I mean, this might be it. You never know. Like, say they make the playoffs, lose the wild card, they might just say forget it and just tear everything down. I don't know.
I think if they don't at least win a playoff game this year, maybe you could see it be the end of this veteran quarterback thing, or they'll give Carr one more shot. Who knows? But anyway, we can move on to your next guys in this tier. Wait, how is Ryan Tannehill better than Derek
Carr? He's all right, but he's not even the next guy, so we'll.
Wait,
okay.
what?
He's close. See, don't worry, he's not that far away. All right,
big Tannehill.
My next guy. No, I'm really not. To be honest, all right. My next guy is it's Daniel Jones.
Interesting.
Not a big Daniel Jones fan. Obviously, you got to give him the big deal. Daboll is an awesome coach.
I already have Daboll ranked top 4 or 5 coaches.
Yeah, I mean, you take that crapshoot of a organization that's been the last few years to the playoffs in 1 year, like
with like a number three receiver is your number 1 and make the playoffs and win a playoff game.
Yeah. The thing that people say about Daniel Jones is like, he doesn't have any like receivers, which he doesn't. I know, like I'm not going to argue against that, but it's not like he was putting up numbers anyway. So it's kind of not really a good argument. Because he threw like 15 touchdowns like in 18 or 19 games. Like that's not impressive at all. I mean, like the tape that I watched a little bit of tape. Like his receivers actually played really well. Like for the guys that they were getting open. It wasn't like Daniel was just throwing in tight windows.
I can kind of agree with what you're saying there. Like his receivers played better than their name, but when the receiver touchdowns is a receiver dependent stat though. Like 15 touchdowns, your number 1 receiver is Isaiah Hodgkins. Like, I mean, I guess
what was he doing before that? I mean, with previous years, it wasn't very impressive, was it? I mean, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, here's where I'm at with Daniel Jones. He's always been an impressive athlete. He's shown flashes with bad situation, and now they gave him a good situation. He was number 1 adjusted completion percentage in football. Granted, I don't think he's the most even a top 5 accurate quarterback. I think he's around the 10ish range because he wasn't throwing the ball downfield like at all. They had Daniel
Yeah.
Jones, like his average depth of target was by far, I think, the least in football. Like, but then again, they didn't have the guys to push it downfield. But even though, you'd still wish he'd push it downfield more, which is something we saw him do actually pretty solid early in his career. Just the last few years, it hasn't been there. But I'm at with Daniel Jones as the 12th best quarterback. I have him in the good tier. He was a really good pocket passer last year. Like, that was something that impressed me when I watched him. Didn't turn the ball over too much, but his decision making's never been amazing or anything. He throws the ball well over the middle of the field. Again, very accurate, especially in the short to intermediate range. Just overall, I think that you factor in the pocket ability, the accuracy, the athletic ability. I think he's good enough to be in the good tier. He has won a playoff game now. Just need to see him to take another step to be more of a downfield threat and just a big play threat overall. And it wouldn't shock me if he has the talent to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I personally believe he has the talent to be a top 10 guy. He just has to unlock it all with now being this accurate pocket quarterback with the athletic upside. He has to also scare the defense downfield.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument for it, for the talent being top 10. But like the tape that I watched, like there, I've met, what is this, 20? Like all the guys ahead of him, I think could do the exact same thing that he was doing. Like it was a bunch of like,
the Giants were not a good roster last year. Like this team was like a 7-win roster.
But it's not.
It's not
like. It's not like he was. Like you gotta like when you watch the tape, it was like he was throwing like 4-yard outs and like just little swing routes to Saquon.
Okay, yeah,
and like
I understand.
I mean, but it's. I mean, Dayball's smart. I mean, he schemed them up. I mean, with the pieces he had, he did what he could. I mean, I just don't think. Okay, you give Daniel Jones like a real number one. I don't think it's really going to change anything. I mean, he'll be his numbers will be a little better, but I don't know. He is what he is to me. I don't really see him jumping much, to be honest, in his career.
To your point, PFF charts a stat, big time throw percentage. It's like nice big throws in tight windows or big time throws down the field, 20 plus yards. His big time throw percentage out of 41 eligible quarterbacks, he was ranked 40th at a 1.4%, only ahead of Matt Ryan, who obviously couldn't throw the ball like more
He's
than
not in the league anymore.
15 yards last year. But yeah, like for example, he had 8 big time throws. Josh Allen led the league with 52. Rodgers 33, Mahomes 38. So to your point, yes, it was a lot of dink and dunk, easy completions. Granted, that's why he had the highest adjusted completion percentage in football. But I mean, he did his job well, and I look at him being able to do that well with taking care of the football, throwing the ball accurately in the little short range. And you add on top the accuracy and the potential to throw the ball downfield. I think it says enough for me to have him at the bottom of the good tier at number 12. But yeah, I totally get your points with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I mean, he has upside for sure. I don't know if it's as high as you think, but yeah, he is what he is to me.
Okay,
so I guess we'll go to the next guy on my list.
This one has to be Tannehill.
It's Tannehill. There we go. He like I don't know why you're necessarily so low on Tannehill.
I'm not low. I have him at number 20, so I think that's what.
Oh yeah, so this is about the same. This is like the same spot.
It's more just the guys you had below him.
Okay, that's fair.
Wait, I just realized. Have you said Jimmy G's name yet?
He's my bad. That's the one guy I was looking at my list and I was a bit confused. He's behind Derek Carr. He's definitely the worst one in that list.
Okay, and what about Baker?
I haven't said him yet.
You a Baker guy?
I guess so.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so Tannehill at 20. Yeah, Tannehill, you could talk about him, but I think he's declined a little bit the last few years, but he's still, I'd say, near that bottom of that average quarterback tier.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's like really solid. I mean, people don't realize, but Tennessee's been like a dang good team the last like few years. Like, yeah, like they've not mean like roster wise. I mean like winning wise. Like, I don't feel like their roster was anything like crazy, and he's had some really really good seasons. And to be honest, I know this like might sound crazy, but like they should have been in the AFC Championship the year the Bengals, I guess, last calendar year when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl.
They were the 1
Um,
seed, but they won in the
yeah, they
championship
were the
game because
one. They
Tannehill
like
had a
people
stinker
forget
at home
that.
in the playoffs. But
Yeah, people forget that. Like
but the
they
reason
were
why
the
they
one
won in that
seed.
game is because Tannehill had a stinker in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's why he's number 20. He's
Okay.
not. He's not. I mean, it's not like he's anything crazy or 19. Um, but like he's a really. I feel like he's the perfect stopgap quarterback because they just drafted Will Levis. I'm not sure how high you are on him.
I'm not high
Um,
on him at all. Are you?
he's like I don't know. I mean, I really like they got D Hop. I think this is a take that we'll discuss another time, but I really think they can compete for the division. I think they could possibly win the division this year.
I don't think that's a bad
Um,
take. I just disagree because I think Lawrence is an absolute stud. So that's the reason why I disagree. But I don't think it's a bad take at all.
okay. But I think he's a really solid guy. He's perfect in the system, and I mean, talking about. I mean, they haven't had good weapons either. I
Mhm.
mean, like after AJ, they tried a Julio, that didn't work. And now they're trying D Hop, and I mean, I think
I think
D
he's
Hop
going to be
was
all
he was.
right, but I think
I think
Diop's a
it's gonna
little
help. I think
overrated.
it's definitely gonna help. It's definitely gonna help because their number one guy was Traylon Burks, so D Hop is definitely gonna help.
Big Traylon
Um,
Brooks guy coming out of the draft had him wide
yeah, I
receiver
think he's
one,
really good too.
but he didn't
But
finish.
I just think Tannehill's like he. I mean, he's a quarterback you can win with. Like you can go to the playoffs with Tannehill. Like you can't not gonna win a Super Bowl with Tannehill, but you can win games with him.
Okay, so
He's had some really good numbers.
we pretty much agree on Tannehill. I think we can agree that a few years ago he was more in that closer to the Cook Cousins where okay he's maybe pushing top 12ish,
Yeah,
maybe top 10,
but last season
but he's since
was kind of
the
shaky.
last 2 seasons been a little bit more shaky and he's back to this just average maybe 20 Jared Goffish range. So
Hmm.
anyway, yeah, we can move on to your next guy. Who is it?
All right. My next guy is actually Baker. Um,
Wow.
uh, I don't really understand why people like. I mean,
Wait,
okay,
hold up. You're an Oklahoma Sooners fan.
I guess, but like,
Okay,
I
that's
liked
what
him.
it is.
I liked him coming out anyway. Um, but I don't have Kyler that high, so that kind of takes that, and Jalen too, so that kind of takes that out of it. Um, but like, he was okay. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, he has elite arm talent. Like
Yeah, that's one of my positives.
his
But it's
mechanics.
everything
Like,
else about his game.
yeah, no, he gets sloppy. All right, but like, okay, football is the ultimate team sport. All right, you look at the context of where he's been at. Where did he get drafted? The worst franchise in the history of sports.
Nope.
All
The
right,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers are worse all time.
in my lifetime, it's the Cleveland
You
Browns.
watch my all time rankings. You know something about Jim Brown, Otto Graham, Paul
It's
Brown.
the worst franchise that in my lifetime.
Okay.
Was the Cleveland Browns up until Baker walked in and had a crazy good rookie year and got a bunch of hype. Then you roll your eyes like he didn't win Rookie of the Year. Um,
He didn't.
and then
Saquon did.
I thought it was Co.
Oh, it might have been. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, and then the next year, can you tell me who their coach was?
Was it the Freddie Kitchens deal?
Yeah. Is he in the NFL anymore?
I don't even know.
I don't think
Maybe.
he is. Um, and like people are like, oh, like because like I was like, okay, yeah, I guess you can consider me a Baker fan, but like I watched a decent amount of Browns games when he was on the team because they were hyped. They're supposed to be really good. Um, like they had Odell and Jarvis, right? But what have those two dudes done after they left Cleveland? Have they done anything in the NFL? Where's Jarvis been?
I mean, Odell had a good stretch of play for the Rams in 2021 and won a
Yeah,
Super
for
Bowl.
like 4 games.
Okay, but
But he
anyway,
was. Wait,
you're naming off the talent he had around him, which yeah, but you have to remember they had a top 5 line. Miles Garrett on the defense side of the ball, Denzel Ward. They had a pretty good defense.
their defense was never good. It was like
Okay,
average,
the
but
20
they had some good pieces.
I
But
will admit, the 2020 year he I had him ranked like 17th after 2020 after the year he was getting top 10 hype when they won a playoff game. Cuz you look at it well, he was in such a good situation. Like, it was Stefanski's first year. I feel like Stefanski's starting to get figured out a little bit. He had Nick Chubb. The offense fit him perfectly. Elite O-line. I mean, that was the year Wyatt Teller was like the best guard in football. Joel Bitonio, J.C. Treader. I think Jedrick Wills was a rookie. Jack Conklin had a good year at the right side. So their O-line was literally like elite. The
Mhm.
receivers weren't top notch, but just the run heavy system, Baker really succeeded with in that run system with the play action, the rollout, which I think that's his fit. He can throw the ball good on the run. He has the lead arm. Um, but I just think everything else. He's shaky in the pocket. He panics a lot in the pocket. He struggles with
Mhm.
anticipation. He really struggles under pressure. He's inconsistent with his accuracy, literally even on just short throws.
Yeah.
Questionable decision making. It's just everything about his game. So if I'm looking at him, okay, you can. Jimmy Garoppolo went to the Super Bowl with the Niners. You can put him in a perfect system for him, and you can have success because he's a borderline starting caliber quarterback. But like he isn't. You can't rank him over Justin Fields, in my opinion.
Well,
Derek Carr, like okay, come on, Baker over Derek Carr, maybe because
uh,
like
the thing
okay,
the thing the thing about you is you just look at you're a big numbers guy. You look at the raw numbers and
I'm not
you
just a numbers guy. I'm
yeah,
literally okay.
that's what it
It may
sounds
seem
like
like
because you don't give any context for the like you think Derek Carr has been in some bad situations. Baker has been in some like okay you say 2020 that was a good situation. I mean his top receiver was Austin Hooper, which I don't know what he's doing in the NFL anymore. Anyway, um 2021 they were super hyped, right? Week 2 blows out his shoulder. All right, that had nothing to do like that year. Like throw that year out. Why is that year being taken? Like okay, yeah, he was awful. Like and it was his own fault. Like I guess he was in his own head. He just really wanted to prove that he was like a good quarterback. But he could have had that surgery and he would have got 40. He would have got like 30-40 million dollars in the offseason, like an extension. Like because that's how good of a year he had the year prior.
he had a good
And
year because it was a perfect situation. Like we've seen Tannehill, Garoppolo be in the Super Bowl, Tannehill be in the AFC Championship game. Okay, I think you're thinking I'm discrediting talent, which you're a big talent guy. I know that. Which I'm
mhm.
looking at talent. I'm looking as you can stand back in the pocket and throw the ball 40 times a game accurately and make a decision. That is quarterback talent. Maybe that isn't physical athletic talent, but that's a talent to playing quarterback. And Baker doesn't do that well at all. Yes, he has a good arm, but he doesn't do anything that you want your quarterback to do well, very well at all, besides maybe make some throws outside the pocket and be able
This
to hit
is
a big deep ball down.
Mhm. I mean, to be fair, this is a little bit projecting towards this season because
Okay.
I think he's gonna have a really good season this year. And that's also for another time. Bucks. I think they're a sleeper team.
Wow.
I like.
I
I
don't hate
mean,
that take, but
I mean, well, okay, we'll talk about that another time. But
yeah.
that's um, yeah. Okay. Then you cut me off. Then he blows out his shoulder, right? And then the whole like off season, or I guess no, that wasn't COVID. That was after COVID. So they they told him he was gonna be a starter in like say a few weeks after the season. Then like 2 months later, they're like, oh hey, by the way, we're trading for Deshaun Watson, who like might end up in prison. Um, and then they literally didn't trade him for the entire offseason because they were mad he was bad mouthing them the entire offseason. And they waited till like what was it like 2 weeks before training camp? Like that's in Carolina with the god awful coach Matt Rule and the god awful offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo. What did Christian McCaffrey do in the offense last year in Carolina? Nothing. What did DJ Moore do in the offense last year? Nothing. Right? But like the situation that he was put in, like no off season, like training camp. He hasn't been in the training camp, like a full training camp since I guess 20 the second year in the league
Okay.
when he had Freddie K.
Basically, what I'm
Like
getting at, yeah, I agree with some of the stuff. He went down a tough path, hurting his shoulder after having a pretty good deal, expected to get a contract, but he had a pretty good deal because he had a very good situation.
and that's
Then
why he's in the
the
spot.
total
That's why
deal.
he's in the spot.
I mean, you see Mahomes in the Jacksonville game hurts his leg. He comes back in, wins them the game, goes on to win a Super Bowl. Now, Baker's not Mahomes, but quarterbacks play through things, and he tried to play through things, and he didn't play good at all. And then he went to Carolina. Yes, it's a bad situation. Both things can be true. He can be thrown in bad situations, but he can still just not be a very good quarterback.
No,
And
he wasn't.
okay, so maybe that's where we disagree a little bit. Where you think, well, no, you don't even have. It's not like you're saying he's a good quarterback. You have him at 19, but you just
Yeah.
maybe think he's a little bit better than most people think. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair, but it's just.
Okay, I was
this way. I was this way with Mitch Trubisky. I was ranking him consistently at 20 until he finally is the backup now.
of the league.
He's still one of the best backups.
You're a pretty smart guy. You're talking about an ankle to a shoulder. With you've thrown a football before, right? Do you throw with your ankle or is
Okay.
So like and first of all, it's Mahomes. Like, come on. Like why are we even putting his name in the same discussion as Baker? Like, come on. But yeah, I mean, he's just gone down a tough path. And I'm probably the last guy on this earth that thinks he's still had something left. Honestly, I mean, I think their win total on
the
Vegas.
Bucks do obviously because they signed him.
No, yeah, like it's on like media. No, we're not media, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah,
I mean, shoot, he's what of the Vegas odds are like. I'm gonna hammer the over on the Bucks wins. Like, I think because they also got Dave Canales, who was the guy in Seattle last year who helped develop Geno really well. I'm not saying he's gonna be he's not gonna be what Geno was last year because Geno was.
I think it's
really
a good offensive fit. I said this in my video today. I think it's a good offensive fit.
And they still have freaking Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Okay, but personally, Mike Evans, he's not going to create any separation over the middle. He's a big jump ball downfield guy. Baker's not going to consistently hit him. He could maybe. Maybe I'm wrong though because he does have the arm, but I think Mike Evans isn't a top 20 receiver in this league anymore.
You don't think he's a top 20 receiver? Wow.
Nope.
So the record that he's about to break this year for most 1,000 yard
That's
seasons.
career. That early in his career, he was a top 10 guy. The last few years, he hasn't done much besides be a sideline threat. And with the new score receivers, the Justin Jeffersons, the Garrett Wilsons, Devontae Smiths, these guys who can just get open in an instant over the middle of the field, run after the catch, while also being able to catch on the outside. They can just kind of do it all. Mike Evans isn't that guy. So personally, I'm not a big like Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, even D-Hop guy anymore. So
I'm not a big Keenan Allen guy either. But also from some of the tape that I watched, and obviously I'm not a big Brady guy. I think
we're gonna have this discussion one day.
There's a different they had a different offense last year, and the offense was terrible. Like the Buccaneers ran like it was literally just, hey Tom, throw 60 times a game. We're not gonna run the ball, and it was all like whatever Tom wanted. And I'm telling you, Bucks, they're a sleeper. They're my sleeper team in the NFC.
Okay.
That's a conversation for another day. Okay.
Well, we're an hour and we're not even halfway through, so let's move on. Number 18.
All right, yeah, my bad.
No, you're good. It was both of us.
And then my next guy is Matthew Stafford. And
I like it.
This kind of like hurts because I was a big Matthew Stafford guy when he was in Detroit. But honestly, I don't know if it's that crazy to say, but I think McVay might retire. I don't know. I don't even know if he's going to make it to the season. I don't think, I just read that the Rams, they tried to negotiate Stafford's deal and he said no, and they're pissed about it. So that's not a good start. And they're obviously have no depth. So I don't know. I mean, Stafford was he just is what he is. He's getting really old. Obviously he has a really good arm still. I mean, they have a couple pieces, but I think this is, I mean, it kind of sucks to say, but this might be his last season in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with what you were saying.
Because he's got some stuff going on. I think his wife is going through some stuff, so I think this might kind of be it for him. So it kind of sucks to see him go out like this. But he did get him a ring, so that's all that matters.
I kind of agree with you with Stafford here. I have him at 19, so about the same range.
Okay.
Arm's still there, but I think he's regressed in other areas of his game, and he just seems like it's going downhill at this point. So, agree.
And then my next guy I have is Jared Goff.
Okay.
Which it's kind of tough because this is kind of the range where you can kind of move one guy up a couple spots, and it's not really going to affect it. I think I'm not as high on the Lions as everyone else is, but I think I think Goff's a good. I think he's good. I mean, he's solid. I feel like he's definitely gotten better over the past couple of years. His numbers were really good last season, and they
Hmm.
brought back the same OC who, is one of the best in the NFL. For people say. So I mean, I don't know. He just kind of is what he is. Honestly, he's not. He's mid. He's like a mid starter quarterback.
Yeah, I think what makes him mid is what makes him average is like what makes him not below average is because he's big and he's tough and he's strong in the pocket. I think he moves well and makes good throws from the pocket. Pretty solid accuracy too. Why he's not like in the good tier in my opinion, it's just because he doesn't threaten you throwing the ball downfield at all. That's like he was the first overall pick. He obviously has an arm. He just doesn't really like use it. Like he doesn't make big time throws downfield. Like Cup had like I think 80 yards downfield in 2021. Stafford comes 2022. He has like 800 plus yards downfield. Like
Hmm.
just flip the script. Like
That's just not his game. Yeah.
that, and on top of that, it's not like he's like an athlete at all, really, like Russian. So I think he's just kind of limited to a pocket statue. But he's good from the pocket, and he does that well enough to be in the average tier, and you can win with him, like you say. I just don't think you're going to win because of him. So I like the ranking.
Um. All right. I guess we move on to the next guy. My next guy is Tua. Um, which I mean, people are pretty high on Tua.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm in the
honestly,
middle, so
he he might he could be in the next tier. But honestly, the tier that's need to see more. Because I do, but I don't really know if I'm gonna necessarily this year is gonna do anything that I don't already know. I think the situation is like absolutely perfect for him. Mike McDaniel is a freaking genius. Two argue probably top 10 receivers in the NFL. Um, really like straight speed on that team. I think the Dolphins should be really good this year.
yeah, they should
Sucks
be.
about
That
Jalen
defense.
Ramsey. It's all
Oh
about Jalen
yeah,
Ramsey.
how long is he out? Just a few weeks, maybe.
They just said I don't know. They just said some regular season games.
But now
See,
think about it. They have Vic Fangio now too. That defense is going to be
I
elite.
know they they're a dark horse Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I don't. Tua is like he's obviously super accurate. Like he has limitations. I mean, everyone knows that.
Hmm.
Um, I think that him like last season, like people, it's kind of one way or the other. Like a couple years ago, you either all in on Tua or you thought he was trash, right? And people just like now they're just kind of not like they're like no matter what good he does, they care. I've always kind of been in the middle on him. Even coming out, I wasn't like a big fan.
Hmm.
Just the limitations, but obviously the perfect situation, and I feel like this is a good spot for him.
It's weird. I wouldn't call myself a huge college football guy until like 2020, 2021. But before then, I watched it a little bit. I personally at Alabama, I was like, I would keep Hurts over Tua. That was my opinion. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, Hurts, they both had different paths since then. But anyway, Tua, I have him at 13, the bottom of the good tier. So he's a few spots ahead of Goff. I'm gonna just compare him to Goff. Similar guy, pocket guy. I think Tua is a better athlete though. He's shown to do more on the run than a guy like Goff. And they're kind of the opposite. So Goff has the arm, he just doesn't throw the ball downfield well at all. Tua doesn't really have the arm, but he's actually very accurate throwing it downfield. And if you give him guys who can get open downfield, like Hill Waddle, you're going to have one of the better deep passing attacks in football. So I feel like reasons just because he's a little bit better athlete than Goff and because he's a better downfield thrower, I have him at the bottom of the good tier and not average. But I can totally see having him towards the top of average just because the talent limitations. But yeah, so I
Yeah,
don't think he's a top 10 quarterback like people try to make it out to be, or like Dolphins fans or people who really like Tua. I just think you have to have a certain amount of talent to be that guy, or you have to be like Tom Brady and just be like the best pocket passer, the most accurate guy, the smartest, gets the ball out well under pressure. You have to be like excellent at everything else. And
hmm.
he's very good at everything else, but he isn't like the best at everything else, which is why I don't have him in the top 10.
Yeah. Like every guy that's ahead of him, I think would be doing the same thing he was doing, or
Yeah.
like a little better. That's kind of why. I mean, he could move up a tier, but I mean, it's not really going to change my evaluation. I mean, he kind of is what he is at this point. Um,
And how many guys do we have left in this tier?
we have one left.
Okay. I'm gonna guess it. I'm gonna guess it.
Okay.
Um, Dak Prescott,
No.
Russell Wilson.
No.
Who?
He wears
No,
purple.
no way. Okay.
I
You win
yeah,
with
okay.
win with, but not because. Cousin had 8 fourth quarter comebacks, 8 game winning drives, one of the worst defenses in football, and they won 13 games.
And what are they doing in the playoffs?
They scored 24 points and lost to the Giants because they gave up 31 points and Daniel
They
Jones
lost.
ran all
They
over them.
did you watch the game? Did
Um,
you
funny
maybe not
story.
remember?
Funny
Let me
story.
refresh it. No, let me refresh your memory. The last drive, they were down by 7. This is literally peak. This is like Kirk Cousins to a T. 4th and 8, drag route. 4th and 8. I just said 4th and 8. Drag route, throws to the drag route. Guy gets tackled 4 yards from the first down. Like Kirk, like honestly, I had him last year. Really impressed me. I had him way lower last season.
Okay.
Before
I had
last
him in the
season.
15ish. Now I have him at 8.
Like I just think there's a ceiling to him. I don't think. I mean, he's in a pretty solid situation. I'm not going to say it's like great.
It really isn't as good as people think. The Vikings have a very
I really
mid to
like their
weak
coach.
offensive. Yes, you can like O'Connell, but they have a mid to weak offensive line. They've consistently had a bad defense when he's there. Like 2017 Case Keenum, remember that team? One of the best defenses in football, weapons all over. Yes, that was a good team. Since then, the defense has been bad and regressing every year. Hopefully, they can get it figured out with Brian Flores now, but they cut all the veterans pretty much, besides Harrison Smith and
Try to
Daniel
cut
Hunter.
their salary cap. Yep.
But anyway, no, Cousins, I think he showed enough last year to where I think he's the second best pocket passer in the league behind Burrow. He's like robotic, like it's just like snap, boom, very accurate. Puts the ball downfield well last year. I don't think the arm's special, but he still threw it downfield well with Jefferson. I think he's underrated mobility. Nothing special, of course, but just a little underrated in my opinion. I think he's ahead of guys like Stafford, obviously, from that aspect. But yeah, what was I gonna say? There's something I was gonna say about them. Like, okay, if you switch him and Dak, Cousins on the Cowboys, I think that team's going to the Super Bowl. That's my personal opinion.
That's where we disagree. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, I hate to fall into because the media is not no, they don't like Kirk Cousins. I hate to fall into that, but every time you need Kirk to come through, he never comes through.
Last year he changed that narrative.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
can't ignore the 8-game winning drives and 8 fourth
So
quarter comebacks. That is
so
historic.
you want to make a personal bet? How many games do you think the Vikings are going to win this year?
Oh, I'm low on the Vikings. I think their defense is bad. I think the offense, they're going to rely
Me
too much on.
personally, I think this 13-win season was an anomaly. I don't think this is not gonna.
I think they're going to rely. Yeah, I don't agree that's not consistent to have all those comebacks. But I think because he did that and that's on his resume, you have to rank him in the top 10 as of now. After this year, okay, maybe the 12ish. But I just think what he did deserves a top 10 ranking. But yeah, I can see them winning like 8-9 games this year because they have a bad defense, which is even worse than last year probably, and not an amazing offensive line. Now they lost Dalvin Cook, so I think they're going to be like an 8-9 win team, but still doesn't really change much how I feel about Cousins.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's sustainable. All those one-score wins, was the 8-0 and one-score games. That's not sustainable in the NFL. And like I said, Kirk was way lower. I mean, shoot, I made a list like this last year. He was probably where Derek Carr was at.
Well, Derek Carr should have been top 10 last year, in my opinion.
I mean that's. I mean, this is definitely not a career-based list, but I also don't just. It's kind of tough for me to just see one really good year and then just automatically throw you unless you're unless the year was incredible.
He's been consistently a borderline top 10 quarterback every single year. You just view it differently for that standpoint.
But I just don't. There's not any. I mean, there's maybe a couple of guys ahead of him that you would take, but I mean, shoot. I mean, what is he? What I'm 15 or 14?
Around that range. I've hated on Dak enough, but you bring up Kirk Cousins' clutchness. When has Dak ever been clutch? And Kirk Cousins is literally a pocket robot, which Dak isn't.
I just think Dak's been better than Kirk.
Okay, we disagree there. But anyway, we can move on to your next tier, bottom of the whatever.
Like,
What's the
okay,
next tier?
yeah, before I move on, like I said,
Okay.
Kirk can easily like it's pretty. I'm not saying interchangeable, but like if you say he's 12 or 11, I'm not gonna like. It's not really gonna be that big of a deal. Me personally, I'd probably take these guys ahead of him over him. It's just tough. He needs to show me he can like do it in the biggest moments. That's what it is for me.
Okay. Have you seen that they're doing the Netflix quarterback series?
Yeah, I started watching it. I'm on like the
Anyway,
third episode.
I saw something. I saw an interview. Mahomes and Mariota both said Kirk Cousins was the most underrated quarterback in football, and they said almost any other quarterback would tell you that too. He wins
Well, I
games. He throws
mean,
for 30 touchdowns every year. He throws for 4,000 yards, and he's Mr. Captain Clutch last year, and he still doesn't get top 10 credit.
if Justin Fields was sitting to my right, I'd say he's the best quarterback in football. What are you supposed to say when he's right next to you? You're gonna say, "Oh no, you ain't good." Like
Okay.
you're supposed to. I mean, you got to be nice. It's political, and they're not gonna say anything wrong. I mean, come on, you know that. You know better
Uh,
than that. You're smarter than that.
okay. Anyway, on to the next tier.
All right, this is the need to see more tier. Like I said, some of the guys in the
Interesting.
previous tier could have been in this one.
Wait. So
But
how's it need to see more, but they're ahead of the other tier?
like need to see more like because they have like more potential than the guys below them
Okay. Okay.
from what I've seen.
What are we
Um,
doing? A prospect ranking? More potential than
no,
Cook has
like
been good.
need no. I mean, you'll understand whenever
Okay. Okay.
you
Okay.
hear him. The first guy I have is Russell Wilson. Which honestly, I was never really. I mean, I'm not gonna say I was like low on him when he was in Seattle, but I wasn't as high as people were saying. This is kind of where I've had him at his whole career, like maybe a little
Interesting
higher,
ranking.
but I mean, he's. I really like last season. I don't. This is kind of like funny, but I don't know if you saw today what Nathaniel Hackett, or not, what Sean Payton
Oh,
said about
he
Hackett.
said something. What did he say? I didn't.
He
I didn't
said
see it.
it's the worst coaching job in the history of football, and that's a conversation for another day. But you need to worry about your own team before you start crapping on dudes that don't play or aren't with you anymore. That's a conversation for another day. I think last season was like obviously it was terrible. He was terrible. There's no getting around it. Um, he's had a really good body of work. But I think Sean Payton being there would really help him. I mean, obviously, I think Sean Payton is one of the brightest minds ever, offensively, obviously. Um, but I think Denver is going to be. I'm not going to say they're going to be good, but like I think Russ is going to have a way better season than last season. Apparently, he's coming to camp a lot better shape, which helps a lot. But yeah, where do you have Russ at?
I have him at 17. He's towards the top of the average tier. He's one of the tougher guys to rank too because
Mm-hmm.
um of course we know he has the deep ball. That's been special his whole career. It was still good last year. I don't think it's arguably the best in football anymore, but it's still there. The
Mm-hmm.
accuracy he's been good through his whole career, and then all of a sudden last year he was very inaccurate. So that's weird. Like you expect him to get back to being an accurate quarterback, but who knows? My concern is who are the quarterbacks? Well, who is the quarterback that Sean Payton coached? Drew Brees. Pocket, quick decision maker, accurate, smart. Russell Wilson, he's relied on his athleticism so much throughout his career to make just the crazy wow plays. He's never been a consistently good pocket passer, and last year he was one of the worst pocket passers in football. Um, and like, I'll just throw out a number. You can watch him and see this, but kept clean grade. That's throwing from a clean pocket. PFF 30th. So obviously it's towards the bottom. He isn't the best decision maker. Definitely not a Drew Brees category, but it isn't awful. So if he doesn't get that accuracy back, you're looking at a not fit. I think as good of a coach as Sean Payton is, if Russell Wilson doesn't fit his offense, he's going to move off of him after this next year. So I think he's kind of playing for
His
his
job.
his job in Denver. And well, I think he's going to be better than last year. I'm just worried about how much will he fit the Sean Payton offense. But with Russell Wilson, with his body of work in his career, I think he's smart enough to. Him and Sean Payton will find a compromise. Sean Payton will adjust his offense if he needs to make it at least work to win enough games to maybe try to compete for a playoff spot. But I think they're going to kind of find somehow meet in the middle of the two games and make it to where it kind of works. But I don't know. I'm concerned.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough year. And Denver is also kind of a tough team because their division is again so tough. So it's just like, I mean, you're not going to be a top two team in the division, like, so you're gonna have to try to fight for like a wild card. I don't really know what's going on. That's why I need to see. I need to see how this season plays out for us before I like drop him super low, which is what he was last year.
All right, so who's the next guy?
The next guy I have is Gino. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, this list kind of fits him to a T. He had, last season was incredible, which kind of goes back to Russ. It kind of sucks that Russ played so good in Seattle for so long, and then Gino steps in and then plays really good. It kind of hurts Russ's case a little bit. Um, but Gino he was a top 7 quarterback last season. Um, I don't really know necessarily how high I am on Seattle this season.
I'll tell.
I
I'll
know
tell
you're
you.
super high. I
I'll tell you.
already, I'm yeah.
How do you
Um,
know? I'm high
because you
Seattle.
told me.
Oh, interesting.
You were so excited about Seattle, you had to tell me. Um,
Oh,
um, but I mean, this I feel like this is a good spot for him. There's like the quarterbacks ahead of him. I mean, I probably wouldn't. He wouldn't be above them. I mean, unless he just has another one of those years. But I don't. He'll probably regress a little bit. But I mean, I really was impressed with last season. I know, obviously, you were.
yeah. So yeah, Gino. It's just weird. The reason why I have him at 7 so high is because last season, for about 10, 12 weeks, he was in that dark horse MVP talk. He slowed down a little bit at the end of the season, but he still put together a top 7 caliber season last year. Reason why I still have him that high is whenever he had to play in 2021 and Russell Wilson was injured, he played good too that year. So like I feel like the body of work is big enough for me to be comfortable with him being good, and like his numbers speak for themselves. Ninth in PFF grade last year, adjusted completion percentage, which I like because it doesn't account throwaways or drop passes into your completion percentage. Fifth overall, and he actually led the league in just basic completion percentage. Deep yards eighth. He really threw the ball downfield well. Just watching him, he was able to make a lot of just wow throws that like you see guys like Stafford making, Allen, Mahomes, which
Hmm.
I just thought was impressive and I didn't expect to see from him. So he impressed me a lot whenever I watched him, and I think leading that Seattle team to the playoffs, that was impressive last year. So I think he's
Yeah.
shown enough for me to have him top 10. But if you're looking at more of, you know, like looking at my list, I'd be lying to you if I told you it looked totally normal, Geno Smith over Aaron Rodgers. But like just
Yeah.
basing off of
No.
what
No.
I've watched over the last year or so, I update my list every year. If I see Geno playing better than Rodgers, I think Geno's better than Rodgers right now. So that's what I'm going to put it as.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's fair. This is my first year, so uh, this is kind of new to me. But yeah, I mean, I think Geno's. I mean, what is he? This is like number 11. He's knocking on the door at top 10,
Yeah.
which is pretty incredible. I mean, he's a backup his whole career, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah. Nice
you
career
pop.
turnaround.
All right, well, I guess I'll move on to the next guy.
Deshaun.
Which I don't know why I remember this, but you have him super low.
Deshaun.
Deshaun Watson.
Wait, you don't have
Um,
Dak on your list yet?
mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, Deshaun, I have at 23. We'll get over it. We'll talk about it, but what do you have to say?
Um, I just I wasn't again, I wasn't as high on him in Houston as most people were. Like people were saying he has top 5 quarterback. I was never saying that. He has top
Wow.
5 talent. He has top 5 talent, but I think I mean, you like you said, Stefanski, he might be getting figured out. But I feel like the Browns offensively at least, I don't know, the defense is a little shaky, but I feel like he should have a really good year in the offense. The line's good, Chubb, Hunt, they're all back. Mark Cooper should have a really good year again. Um, I think, I mean, like he just has top 5 talent, but again, need to see more. I mean, the 6 games he played, I mean, it's kind of tough to evaluate. He hadn't played football in a year and a half. Wasn't able to practice the entire year um, because the whole situation. Um, and yeah, I mean, I need to see a full season before I put him in either the upper echelon or just kind of the average. But I know you have him really low, so you got to
Yeah.
tell me why.
I'm at 23, the very bottom of average, one spot below Dak at 22. Watson, it's just the weird thing was, which this can probably have to do with being out of football, he didn't look as talented when he played last year. I
Yeah.
noticed my positives were he still had that nice bounce in the pocket, that nice pocket presence, the poise that he's had throughout his career in Houston, and he was overall still pretty accurate. But just everything else under pressure, it was probably the worst in football. For example, his under pressure grade was 32nd grade at PFF, and he just took so many sacks. He held onto the ball forever. It was just like he wasn't just adapted to the speed of the game, maybe because he was out of the game for a year and a half, but that was just rare to see. Um, and yeah, the elusiveness, athleticism took a little bit of a step down, in my opinion. And he didn't throw the ball downfield well at all, but that could have been chemistry issues. So a lot of the things I mentioned are fixable. Getting back to the speed of the game, pushing the ball downfield, getting chemistry with those receivers because he has the talent to push it downfield well. He did in Houston. So ranking him right now at 23, he's a guy who we'll see in my projected rankings could be top 15, borderline top 10, like you have him. Because like I would like to think talent just doesn't go away, but I also saw some of his athleticism go away, and I would just like to think it's maybe being out of football and stuff like that. But we'll see. He's a tough guy. I said this in my video. He's the toughest guy to rank. I think him and Russell Wilson are
Hmm.
two of the toughest guys to rank on this entire list.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, it's kind of a perfect tier because I kind of need to see him, with the full off season training camp with Stefanski. Um, but I think he should have a really good year. And I mean, I don't know. I guess again, we got to see him, but his ceiling is probably like I don't think he'll ever reach like top 5 again. Um, he could be a top 10 guy if he gets back to where he was when he was in Houston. Um, but yeah, that's all I got to say about Deshaun.
Wait, you haven't said Kyler Murray yet?
He's my next guy.
Wait, you have 9 quarterbacks left, right?
One, two, well, after Kyler 9, right?
Okay, so I don't know.
So Kyler's my 10th.
Okay, Kyler's your 10.
Yeah. Kyler, I was super worried about him coming out. Obviously, arm talent, rushing talent. Obviously, it's just the
Wait.
size.
Oh yeah, I forgot you didn't have this guy yet. Anyway, okay. So
Yeah.
what about Kyler? My bad.
Yeah. I really liked him. I mean, I wanted to really like him coming out because obviously he played for my school, but
I was the biggest Kyler Murray fan. I was a huge Kyler Murray guy.
I don't know why. I mean, what do you have him? What do you have him now?
I didn't rank him because I just ranked Tune. But
Oh yeah, I forgot. But if you had to just guess like a range,
I'll keep talking. I'm gonna pull up my past rankings and just let you know how high I was on him.
okay. I think, I think personally the Cardinals, like right now, they're the worst run organization in the league. I think it's an absolute dumpster fire. I think the dude they just hired, he should not have gotten the job. I think if Kyler was really smart, or the Cardinals might just tell him, I don't think he should play a snap this year. They said he's going to come back, a few weeks into the season, but I mean, what is he going to be playing for? I mean, I guess I don't want him to rush back to ACL because that's a big part of his game, and hopefully he doesn't zap some of his rushing ability, because it kind of does with some quarterbacks. But I think with Cliff Kingsbury making the playoffs, I think that's something most quarterbacks wouldn't be able to do. Cliff Kingsbury was terrible at Texas Tech. I don't know how he got the job in Arizona.
I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is as bad as people think. I'm not a Cliff Kingsbury guy, but I don't think he tried to build an offense around Kyler Murray. It worked for stretches, and then Kyler would just start to play bad or get inconsistent or get injured, and they fell off. I mean, I'll say this. Cliff Kingsbury, I like his scheme for the Kyler Murray fit. I think he was a bad in-game adjuster during games. Like if it went wrong for the Cardinals, it wouldn't just go wrong. It would go really wrong. And he wouldn't adjust enough. So that was probably why he was a bad coach, but I think his philosophy isn't really bad. So I understand.
Yeah, and that's also you looked at it from one perspective, from the Kyler perspective, but you can also look at it from the Cliff. You said Kyler starts to fall off. Well, those, what was it, 2 years they started at night, or was it super hot?
Mm-hmm.
What if you didn't talk about what if it was Cliff was the one getting figured out? I mean, the NFL, it's like teams figure each other out really quick, and I wouldn't just mostly put the blame on Kyler. I just think his talent is ridiculous. Um, I think if you put him in most offenses, I think he would be fine. Honestly, I think the Cardinals are like I said, probably the worst run organization in the league.
But
Um,
just quick. So I was a big Kyler Murray guy. Like, I'm gonna say this. So his rookie year was what, 2019?
mhm.
So after his second year, 2020, heading into 2021, I had him fourth.
Oh,
Fourth. So, and then that was the year 2021. Cardinals started hot. I was like, ooh, I'm
oh, so
smart.
it was rolling. You were
And then
rolling on
Murray
that.
fell off, and they had that big playoff collapse with the Rams. Last year, I had him
Hmm.
11th going into the season, so still pretty good, borderline top 10. But the thing is, looking at it, you're a big talent guy. I'm a big talent guy too. But I feel like quarterback talent, I'm just going to keep talking about this guy. Kyler Murray does not throw the ball. He maybe throws the ball prettier and he runs prettier than Kirk Cousins. He is not as good of a quarterback as Kirk Cousins because he can't stand there in the pocket and make throw after throw. Yes, you can say Kirk Cousins can't make some of the, wow throws that Murray makes outside the pocket, but consistent quarterback play is done in the pocket, throwing the ball play after play, and Kirk Cousins does that at a very good rate, and Murray doesn't do that well. I thought this was just a narrative that Murray can't throw over the middle of the field, but watching it, you actually concerned of him seeing over the middle of the field and making throws because he hasn't done that well. And the thing with Murray is his rookie year, he was like what, pretty good, one rookie of the year. He's been the same quarterback statistically every year, besides last year. It fell off more and he was injured, but like he hasn't improved at all since he's been in the NFL. So the talent is there, the talent, like athletic ability, but he hasn't put it together. So I think you're just looking at a middle of the pack quarterback, in my opinion, with potential, but can also play very bad at times.
Yeah. Uh, he's yeah. When it goes, like you said earlier, when it goes wrong for him and the Cardinals, it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Um, I just I don't know. He's in a pretty crap situation, and honestly, my biggest concerns with Kyler, it's kind of funny, is does he even care? Does he even like football?
Yeah.
Honestly, there's so much stuff going on, off the field, not anything bad, but just talks that he doesn't really care, which kind of really sucks because he was probably the greatest Texas high school quarterback ever,
Hmm.
won a Heisman, OU. Then it's I don't know. I've kind of had him at the same rating the whole year. And it kind of it was just kind of a tough spot because I didn't want to put him in the average tier because I don't think he's average. Like this is where we disagree, I guess. There's probably at least I would say 20 to 25 GMs that would disagree with you on Kirk versus Kyler. Like, Ky,
I
like
disagree. I think almost
GMs would
every GM
not.
in the
There,
league
you
would take
can't
Kirk
sit there
over
and tell
Kyler.
me that for the next 5 years they would take Kirk over Kyler. No,
I think they would,
no.
personally.
I don't think. I
But
mean,
anyway, I want to say something quick. Just funny story. So yeah, I was a big Kyler Murray guy. First, like you, I started paying attention to college football 2018. I wasn't like super into it until like 2020, but I started paying attention to it. That was Kyler Murray's Heisman year at OU. So I loved Kyler Murray coming into the draft and big Kyler Murray fan. And then I just the last few years I just haven't seen him from him, so I'm not as high on him. But yeah, there was a point whenever he was like, "How I have a Lawrence jersey, Carr, Fields, guys I like." I was gonna get his jersey, but I ended up not getting it. But anyway, so we can move on to what, number 8 now? Number 9.
yeah, number 9, I guess. So this is the next tier. This is the knocking on the door, I guess, of the elite. I guess you could call them, was what you call them, tier. It's kind of in the middle because I don't think these guys are elite yet, but they could be. And they've played like it for stretches, but um, this I have Trevor Lawrence at number 9. Or was it number 9? Right? Is this number 9?
Wait, you have Trevor at number 9?
Is this 9?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I
Explain.
have
Explain
Trev.
yourself.
Um, honestly, I kind of wanted to put him in the need to see more tier, but I just think he's way more talented than those guys. His ceiling is through the roof. There's no question about that. I just okay, the first year, okay, terrible situation, obviously. But he was also awful. All right, then I don't mean to sound like a Jaguars hater here, but this is the argument against them. I don't think people understand if if Josh Dobbs in the final game of the season doesn't fumble the ball, the Jags don't make the playoffs. And where nobody is talking about
I
Trevor in the
mean, they
way
still
they're
could have had
talking
a
about Trevor.
Trevor Lawrence still could have put together a drive to win the game. It wasn't like
There
the game
was
was
there was like
over.
2.5 minutes left, and the Jags got a fumble that wasn't even a fumble from Josh Dobbs. The refs didn't even review it. They just said whatever. Like Trevor was this close
That
to
still
not even
doesn't
making
take
the
away.
playoffs.
That
No,
still
but
doesn't
if
take away
people,
that he
but
played like arguably the best quarterback for the last 7-8 weeks of the season.
if he was if the Jags were 8-9, you're telling me that people will be talking about him in the same light that they
I
are?
don't know. People are talking about him as a top 6, 7 quarterback. I'm talking about him as a top 4 quarterback. So I don't know.
I mean, I just think that's a little that's
Maybe.
that. I
I just
mean,
feel
and
like
I'm the talent guy.
yeah.
I need to see more. I mean, obviously, he had a great year last year. Think Doug Peterson's a great fit, and honestly, he should have a better year this year because Calvin Ridley is a beast. He's coming back. But I don't know. I guess you have him a lot higher. I guess you just need to tell me why.
Interesting. So I'm looking at like weeks 12 to 18. I'm gonna go farther than that. I'll look at weeks 9 to 18, so the back half of the year. 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Going either further than that, I think there was a stretch where it was 21-3.
Mm-hmm.
No, 17-4. So somewhere around there. So anyway, last 10 weeks of the season, 15-2 touchdown interception ratio. Going into the playoffs, he was playing up there with Burrow and Mahomes. Not quite to their level, but pretty close to put together that winning streak with Jacksonville to make the playoffs. 5-game winning streak. Playoff game. Funny story. I've streamed one game, done a live stream on here once where me and my co-host commentate during the game. It was the Jags Chargers playoff game. We ended the stream at halftime when it was 27-0 and the Jags won. So that was pretty funny.
Oh
But
wow.
anyway, so yeah, no, but Lawrence, I think he's shown enough to be at least borderline elite. Like, really, there's no big flaws in his game. I'll say a few things. With the arm talent, he was only 16th in deep yards. I'd like to see him push the ball downfield and just make those more big time plays downfield, but that's not like a concern. He still makes a lot of those. I noticed this coming out of college. Whenever he's under pressure, he kind of gets a little like, I don't want to say timid, but like timid as a quarterback. He doesn't make those big time plays under pressure that you wish he would make. So that's a little bit of a flaw. But other than that, the talent's there. He showed it, putting together a nice second year season, taking this team all the way to the divisional round, and putting a good fight versus the Chiefs. I think he's a top 6 borderline elite quarterback. I have him at number 4. I
All
just
right.
don't get
Well,
how can you realistically tell me Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence?
he's just done it for longer.
But like
Honestly,
he's done what? He almost threw he was on pace to throw 20 interceptions last year. He threw 15 interceptions in 12 games.
your list is also a lot to do with last season. My list is not all just one
Okay,
season.
I
It's just what
understand that.
you sound like your list is like all one season.
Okay, it may sound like that, but like looking at it from a talent perspective, Dak, is he like a pocket guru like a Cousins or even a Lawrence? He's a stud from the pocket. Well, even like I wouldn't even say he's Jared Goff from the pocket. No, he's just okay, all right. Does he throw the ball downfield and why you with his arm talent at a high rate? No. Is he a top-notch accuracy guy? No. Does he turn the ball over a lot? Yeah, he's not like an amazing decision maker. He's not like, I'd even say like Burrow or Brady was. He doesn't do anything super well. He's not a crazy mobile, throw on the run, gonna rush for 100 yards in a game guy. He's just kind of average at everything, and he's also inconsistent with his accuracy. Big moments he doesn't show up, and he had turnover issues last year. So I feel like he doesn't do anything like to put him top 10 in my opinion.
Well, I mean,
He
okay,
puts up good
again,
numbers with a stacked team.
I mean, okay. Um, he
I
threw
think
37 touchdowns and 10 picks the year before last. That's average.
no, I said he puts up good numbers with a very good team.
No, you told me that he's average.
He's an average quarterback.
37 touchdowns and 10 picks. That's average.
Did Baker Mayfield not have an amazing year? Did what's his face? Who am I thinking of? Well, I think Stafford's better than Dak, but like even Stafford had a 41 touchdown year. Fairly good situation. A lot of it's situational. Stats are situational. It's funny because you're pushing the stats on me, but I'm going just based off what does Dak do like that makes him top 10.
I think the main reason why you don't have him as high is because of the star on his helmet. I just
No,
think
I think
I
the
don't
reason why
think
you
you're
have him
not.
high is because the star on his helmet.
No, I don't like the Cowboys at all. I don't
I'm
like
not a
like
Cowboys hater. Personally.
yeah. I'm not the Cowboys hater either. I mean, yeah, he is. I'm not gonna sit here and argue that he is like you know bad. Like he obviously has good talent around him, but like I mean, do you think Mike McCarthy's a good coach?
I think he's a better coach than he gets credit for. I don't think he's a good coach, but I think he's a better coach than he gets. He's a solid coach, but he's a very bad situational coach. So that's what kind of brings him down.
And I mean, I just don't think the 15 interception year. I think that's kind of like an anomaly because that's not who he's been throughout his career.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that, but it's not like he's been, just completely taking care of the ball, making the perfect read every time. He hasn't been that either. So I don't know. It kind of probably falls somewhere in the middle. And again, I think he's consistently around the 15th best quarterback. And I think this past year, I rank him at 22 because there's other young guys I like more, and he had a bad year. So maybe that's where we're at, but I just don't get the top 10. I've never understood it, and maybe it's just an opinion on Dak. So anyway, we can move on to.
Oh, well, the thing that kind of sucks is my computer died, so I was trying to pull. I had a bunch of numbers pulled up, but they all kind of went to crap. But I'll just go to my next guy. Um, next guy is Jalen Hurts.
At what,
Um,
7?
yeah, I guess that's 7. Honestly, like I was not a fan of him coming out at all.
Interesting.
Like in college, he was. I mean, obviously, I'm an OU guy. I'm gonna watch the games. He was a one read, just run type guy. Like if the first read wasn't open, he was gone. Like he was trying to run. And I'm in my like opinion that in the league that doesn't work. Like you're gonna get figured out too quick. In his first, he played a couple games rookie season. I don't know. He was okay. He didn't really do anything special. Um,
I feel like he
and
showed
then
some flashes in his rookie year. That Cardinals game, those other games too.
I
But
just didn't
anyway,
know if that was necessarily sustainable because
yeah.
I hadn't seen that before from him.
hmm
But then this past season was obviously ridiculous
Well,
in the
first off,
Super Bowl.
his second year, the Eagles went to the playoffs and they were expected to win like 4 games.
Oh yeah,
I think he was a little underrated going into this year, and now he just took a step that even like people who were high on him didn't see coming.
yeah, um, I definitely was impressed after his second season, but yeah, I did never expect him to get to this level. Um, even the biggest Jalen Hurts believers did not think he was going to get to this level. There's no way.
hmm
He developed super well from year 2 to 3. Um, I mean, to be fair, his team's pretty loaded. But he's making the most of it. It's not like I mean, he balled in the Super Bowl.
yeah,
Like he
he
was
did
playing with Mahomes. Like they literally lost because the defense gave up 38.
yeah.
Um, he had probably he probably outplayed Mahomes just straight up in the Super
hmm
Bowl with his running. And the Eagles, I mean, they should they should win the NFC again. I mean, they kind of bringing everyone back. God, how do they draft Jalen Carter? How do they end up with Jalen Carter?
Because
That makes no sense.
My Bears didn't take him, and we took Darnell Wright.
Yeah,
We'll see how it works
like
out.
nah, that's tough. Um, yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is like I said, he's the last guy in this tier knocking on the door of being, I guess, elite is what you call it.
I think Hurts. I think with the step he's taken, I think he's a little bit better passer than Lamar. I think Lamar is underrated as a passer, which is weird because I'm 11 saying that. Um, but I think throughout Lamar's career, he's been underrated as a passer. I think last year it wasn't very good. That's why I have him ranked 11th. I just still would have Hurts over Lamar. I think at this point, Hurts is better than Rodgers. Rodgers has declined from an athlete perspective, doesn't make those like just wow Aaron Rodgers throws anymore. But he still has that quick release. His accuracy declined though, Rodgers, in my opinion, and he actually had more than 10 picks last year, and he made some shaky decisions with the football. And he doesn't necessarily throw the deep ball as well as he used to, although it's still pretty good. But a lot of that could have been chemistry stuff with the new receivers, losing Adams. Now with Garrett Wilson, hopefully he'll bounce back a little bit. But I have Rodgers at 10, so I'd have I would have Hurts over Rodgers and Lamar, so I have Hurts at 5, and I have him over
Okay.
Herbert too.
I'm not gonna like. I'm not. That's not a bad like take. I mean, that's respectable. Hurts at 5.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I think the guys ahead of him, and the guy right ahead of him is I could easily see taking him over. But I've just always been a fan of him. I guess you could say. And I think he could be the MVP this season. That's Lamar. So this is the start of the next tier. Um, Lamar
the elite tier.
he's not had the best situations around him. And to be fair, and the offense they were running was not never good. Obviously, it was based around him trying to
Hmm.
run because that's where he's at his best. Um, but he's finally got some weapons now, and he, like you said, he's underrated as a passer. I think he's going to show a lot this year. I really like Zay Flowers coming out. See what Odell can do. I mean, he's kind of just a name at this point. Um, and yeah, I think this is the best receiving core he's had since he came into the league, and I expect him to have a really big year this year.
Yeah, Lamar's tough. I think the situation's better than people think. The receiver situation isn't the best, but it's because they built the offense around him with that Greg Roman style offense. They built the Lamar offense. I remember before his MVP year, Harbaugh was talking, we're going to run an offense you haven't seen before, and it worked. He won MVP. They won 14 games, and they lost in the playoffs. But anyway, I mean, he's consistently had a good defense with the Ravens, a good coach in Harbaugh, the best kicker in Tucker, good special teams, good O line, good running game. Just hasn't had the receivers, but it's because they built the offense to be elite everywhere but receiver, and just hasn't worked. So I don't know. He's tough, but I have him at 11. I just think he didn't do much. The numbers speak for themselves deep. He doesn't stretch the field well as far as last year. He has done that solid in years past, so maybe you can get back to that for him. But I think needs to stay healthy and needs to put together a consistent. It's kind of like Kylo, but not to the extent where all talent, a lot of talent, but I just feel like the last 2-3 seasons he hasn't finished the year as a top 10 quarterback, so I can't rank him in there. But going forward, I'd expect him to get back there, but we'll see.
Yeah. So what is that? Is that number 6? That's number 6.
Yeah, number 6, one number 5 now. So you still have
Yeah. I
Rogers
mean,
top 5. Wow,
yeah, for sure. My number 5 is Herbert.
interesting.
It's where do you have Herbert at?
6.
Okay, so
I had
pretty
him
pretty
4
equal.
last year, 6 now. So we're pretty
Honestly,
equal.
honestly, he could shoot. He has the potential to be 2.
Yeah,
Honestly, like his arm is ridiculous. Um, his receivers, they're just. I mean, Mike Williams is good, but never been a Keenan Allen guy the last couple of years. Um, they've had so many injuries the last couple of years, and he's found a way to. I wouldn't say, yeah, I kind of say, I mean, not this year, but the year prior, he dang near carried them to the playoffs. I think they lost to the Raiders. But that game he was incredible. Um, and I think his second season in the NFL, he threw like 5,000 yards and
yeah.
like he had an incredible season. I mean, there's not really much to say about Herbert. Everyone's kind of where I'm at. He could be a little higher. I could see the argument. Probably not that much lower, but 6, I guess, is is okay.
Yeah, we're all in the same tier. He hasn't done enough to be with the Mahomes bro Allen, but he has the potential to
Hmm.
get there. So
Yeah,
yeah, I like it's any year now he's gonna have a big time year. I just don't know if he's gonna be consistently arguably the best quarterback in football like those guys. But definitely could potentially get there. But anyway, on to number 4. You still have Aaron Rodgers at number 4?
this is Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
I just think
Um,
it's too high for the past few years, in my opinion. But go ahead.
well, um, last season was it was tough because obviously it wasn't a good year for him, but it also didn't help that he broke his thumb on his throwing hand. So the last half of the season, he was throwing on a bum hand, and
That's
for
when they started winning.
yeah, but I'm saying like he wasn't playing. They were winning, but he wasn't playing like normal A Rod,
Mhm.
and he's 1 year removed from MVP.
Here's my take. You're talking to someone who had Rodgers ranked 9th last year after his MVP year and had a ton of hate. Personally, I thought 2021 Rodgers won arguably the most undeserving MVP in NFL history, up there with 1987 John Elway. But anyway, Burrow should have won. Burrow or Brady should have won MVP that year, even Cup. Like Burrow had the best advanced stats in football and took the Bengals to the Super Bowl. Brady threw for like 45 touchdowns and less than 10 picks.
Well, the MVP is not a. Let me cut you off. The MVP is not a. It's not a postseason award.
I know it's not a postseason, but even in the regular season,
so Super Bowl should have nothing to do with it.
It shouldn't, but like what Burrow did in the regular season was enough to win it, in my opinion. It was just Cup's historic season. I just don't think he deserved MVP that year, but that's talk for another day. But anyway, Colin Rodgers, I already talked about him earlier. I have him at 10. So what do you see a little bit more? What do you see that I don't, apparently?
The Packers. I don't think they're a very well run organization. If we're talking all time,
yeah.
A-Rod's he's up there, like with the best. So
wait, I thought you were gonna mention the Packers all time. I'm like, the Packers are historically one of the best organizations in all of sports.
I'm just talking about since 20. They haven't been well ran the last 10 years, I'd say.
Okay.
Obviously their franchise is like probably one of the best. But he didn't really have much talent around him, and he always had this like he's kind of a weird guy. He's kind of this like he's out weird off the field stuff. Like every offseason the last like 2 years, it was like he didn't even show up until like training camp. So he had like no time. So I get that. Like he's kind of got some like baggage. He's definitely got baggage with him. But I think this year with the Jets, he's gonna really shine. I think they basically had all the receivers they had with Green Bay because they all went to the Jets, except now they have Garrett Wilson as well, who's probably he's gonna emerge as a top 10 receiver. Yeah. And this might be a hot take, but this might be.
It's not a hot
take. Crazy.
Top 5.
You said what?
Even if you said top 5, I wouldn't really say it's a hot take.
No. This is something totally different.
Oh.
I think there's a possibility. This sounds crazy. Devontae Adams says, "I want to go to the Jets halfway the season."
Interesting.
I don't think it's that far off. He's gonna rot in Vegas. He doesn't want to do that. I see him in the offseason always hanging out with all the Packers guys when A-Rod was there. They have a great relationship, and that they would instantly be right there with the Chiefs in the AFC if they got Devontae, obviously. But I think the receivers are just a lot better. I think he's going to get back to where he was in his MVP year because he has had the full offseason with the team. He seems like he's having fun again. The last couple of years, he's been a total jack off in the offseason and just crapped on the Packers.
I'm a little concerned with him saying he was like 90% retired early in the offseason before he did his darkness retreat. But like, I'm going to consider like, how is he going to, after coming off a disappointing year and almost being retired, how is he going to automatically reemerge and be a top 5 quarterback? That's hard to see, but I get where you're coming
I just think from. Last year
because a much better situation than last year.
I think last season was a bit of an anomaly. I don't think he really wanted to be there. I don't really think he's obviously deteriorated a little bit. He's getting old, but I don't think it's as far off as people think. And the Jets, they should be really good this year.
Okay, on to 3. 3 is what? Josh Allen?
3 is Josh Allen.
Okay, so Allen, you have Josh Allen 3, Burrow 2, Mahomes 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, that's what I have. I think that's mostly the consensus. You kind of agree with the body of work the last 2 years. Burrow's past Allen, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I really like Allen.
I like Allen too. I just think he's kind of too reckless sometimes, runs around, holds onto the ball long 2 times, makes bad decisions, and a little inconsistent with his inaccuracy. But obviously the talent, the high moments make him elite. I think Burrow's closer to Mahomes than he is closer to Allen. So I'd like 2 Burrow. I think 1, 2,
on that.
And then 3.
We disagree.
Interesting.
I just don't. Well, Actually, this kind of sucks, but you saw Burrow today.
Oh yeah.
He
Hopefully he's
they
not
just said
out.
they said he just strained his calf,
Okay,
so
hopefully he's not out
he
too
should
long.
be back by the season.
Okay.
But that looked really scary. Um, no, I mean, I think honestly, like some days I wake up and it's honestly I'm not gonna get mad if you say Allen's over Burrow. I
Hmm.
mean, I just think I'm a big talent guy. Burrow's like the situations he's been in has been pretty ridiculous. Which it's kind of weird
Ridiculously
because
bad offensive line, but he has the
and
receivers though, so I'll give him that.
yeah, I'm not. That was just that one year. Last year they had a good offensive line.
No wait, well, it was still mid. It wasn't good.
It was. I mean, Josh
It
Allen's line ain't
it was
ain't
below
top.
mid actually. The offensive line was bad last year from pass
What
blocking.
was the Bills?
Well, I'm just gonna look at offensive line grades. Bengals 30 pass blocking, Bills 20, so both disappointing.
Yeah.
Like
Um.
the Chiefs they've given Mahomes pretty good offensive line consistently throughout his career. Besides
Yeah.
the Super Bowl versus the Bucks, but they were injured. Um, but anyway, what were you gonna say?
Oh
Bro,
yeah. So I mean I don't know. I really like both. I don't think they even were touching Mahomes. I think they're pretty firm where they're at. I think Allen. I don't think the team I don't think his situation is all that great. Um, yeah, Diggs is awesome. But never really been a Gabe Davis fan. Um, the running backs,
he's had to do
it's
so much. Where now
yeah.
losing Dable, he's had a mediocre offensive line his whole career.
Hmm.
Not much receiving talent outside of Diggs, um, and no running game to be desired.
Yep.
So like he's been the offense, which is impressive.
He's carried the offense. Yeah.
Um, here's where I'm at with so Mahomes. Yes, he's the best quarterback in football, and he's obviously looking to be the best quarterback of this generation. But that doesn't mean he's going to be the best quarterback and win MVP every year. So whenever I
Hmm.
do my projected rankings right now, as long as Burrow is not seriously hurt, I'm planning on predicting him to be the best quarterback this year and win MVP. Is that like controversial or anything?
No.
Just because, like, yeah, Mahomes, I'm going to say in general he's the best quarterback, but like that doesn't mean he's going to win MVP every single year. We
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. Just
So
because I have a guy number one doesn't mean I think he's like I told you. My number six guy, I think could win is
yeah, could win
MVP, might
MVP.
win MVP. So
Okay, so
yeah.
we're the same on that. All right, but
Hmm.
yeah, we agree with 1, 2, and 3. I mean, what can we say about Mahomes? Number one,
Maybe ever,
yeah,
honestly.
but maybe ever by the end of his career. But yeah, talent wise, I think he's the best.
I don't think at this point. Mahomes ain't really going to be going for regular season stuff. Every year he started, haven't they've won 12 or more games every
And
year.
made the championship game.
That is incredible, and been home field like
Championship game.
that is incredible.
So they've hosted the championship game every
It's
year of his
literally
career.
been like an invitational, if you will, or like yo like we're playing in Kansas City. Like the AFC runs through Kansas City every year. Um, Obviously his receivers they're solid. Andy Reid's probably the best coach in football.
Hmm.
So that obviously helps. Kelsey might be the GOAT tight end. Just well like from receiving perspective.
Hmm.
Um, but I just think Mahomes is kind of untouchable right now. As number one, but he might not be the best quarterback this coming season, but that doesn't knock him off number one for me.
Okay, so that is our list. Jude's list, our debates went way longer than I expected, almost 2 hours. But it was fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Did you enjoy coming on here?
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, okay. May want to have you back for some divisional previews if you're down or record predictions,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
those will be fun debates too. But anyway, thank you guys. That's gonna be it. Any closing thoughts?
Nah. I guess yeah. Hopefully, I'll be back.
All right, well that's it. See y'all.